I am declaring that an emergency exists, and I'm invoking the provisions of RSA 91-A23B. Federal, state, and local levels have determined that gatherings of 10 or more people pose a substantial risk to our community in its continuing efforts to combat the spread of COVID-19. In concurring with their determination, I also find that this meeting is imperative and to the continued operation of the town government services, which are vital to public safety and confidence during this emergency. As such, this meeting will be conducted without a quorum of this body physically present in the same location. At this time, I also welcome members of the public accessing this meeting remotely. Even though this meeting is being conducted in a unique manner under unusual circumstances, the usual rules of conduct and decorum apply. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their name, please also state whether there was anyone in the room with you during this meeting. And I am Renee Allen, the chair, and we'll start with Amy.
Amy?
She doesn't seem to unmute.
Sorry, it freaked out. I'm Amy Farnham, alone in the room.
Cliff was? Oh, there's Cliff.
Oh, yeah. I'm Cliff Sinnott. I'm alone in the room.
Thank you. Lou?
Lou Hickford, alone in the room.
Robin?
Robin Tyner, alone in the room.
Okay, Julie Ross. Dave? Dave?
Dave Sharples, town planner, alone in the room.
Oh, I missed Betsy.
Betsy Stevens, alone in the room.
All right, and we have a guest tonight, Nick.
Hi, everyone. Nick Devonshire, also alone in the room.
Okay, thank you. And Camille is Camille.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, my internet is not great, and I'm alone in the room.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We're going to start with the approval of minutes. I did have one suggestion from Lou in the minutes that we make a small change to the community choice power paragraph that would take the sentence to say that the committee would be dissolved by 2023. When the work is done, he thinks we should insert after 2023 comma and write or when the work is done. Okay, so
It changed. I also had one other question about that write-up. It said that we'd be presenting a slate of recommended members. Is that how we'll do that, or is it simply we'll ask those members to apply?
You are correct, Cliff. The standard procedure is for a person to apply through the volunteer sheet. However, in addition, I would tell the select board chair that these are the incoming things that incoming people, just so they know they're checked off people.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So any motions to approve?
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. Then the minutes are approved, and I'll send them off to Pam for upload. Thank you. Okay, so this brings us to...
Do we technically have to vote?
Yeah, we should actually.
For the amendment of the or?
Well, just because we have a motion and a second, so I think we have to vote just because.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yes. You are right, Robin. Okay, roll call. All right.
How about a hand vote?
Oh yeah, how about that? Can we just do a hand vote?
Technically, with the virtual things, you are supposed to do a roll call.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Bob. All right. Amy.
Aye.
Betsy. I saw her say aye. Camille. Well, I'm not sure that Camille has voted. All right, no. Cliff.
Aye.
Lou.
Aye.
Robin.
Aye.
Here says aye. Okay, unanimous. We'll add that word in there. Okay, and let me check right here in our participants tab. We have 10 panelists and 0 attendees tonight, so I'll note that. And I would also like to share my screen at this moment and show our visual agenda for the benefit of people who are watching this later on or who are watching live on Facebook. Tonight, we are meeting Nick Devonshire. He is a candidate for the Energy Aggregation Committee that we'll be talking about. Today we're talking about clean energy projects, the power aggregation project. Dave Sharples will give us his sustainability officer update. We're talking about the education projects. Betsy's going to talk about some rebates and more. Webpage he's going on. Camille, who is our high school liaison, will be talking about her article in the Talon and a possibility of an electric school bus project. Then there are 2 efficiency projects that we have recently worked on and a field trip. So let me stop the share here. And just for your information, this is the electric mix in energy. As you can see in this graph, mostly we are on nuclear here in New Hampshire with small amounts of the other slices of the pie, which we hope to increase their share. All right, so that being over, the very first thing on the agenda here is we have Nick Devonshire. Nick is just coming on to do a meet and greet. He's recently moved back to town. He's an Academy alum, and he is somebody that Betsy Stevens knows. And he has graciously said that he might help us out on this project. So go ahead, Nick, and tell us about yourself or ask any questions or whatever you want to do.
Sure. Nice to meet you all. So again, Nick Devonshire. I live at exit 9 over behind the Barking Dog in Exeter. My wife's an attorney in Manchester, New Hampshire, and that's kind of what brought us here. The deal was I went to business school at MIT and I studied electric power systems there. But when I graduated, I had to get a job in New Hampshire. So I'm currently the director of investments for Clean Capital, which is a New York City-based investment firm, but they allow me to work wherever I want. So I'm here in beautiful Exeter. We invested about $700 million into solar and storage projects across the country. Just raised another $300 million from Manulife. They own John Hancock, the insurance company, and so very busy these days, just investing that into various solar and storage projects. I have a lot of familiarity with electric power systems, and even I'm just going to use the term community choice aggregators because I'm more familiar with the California system. One of the investments that I looked at making, ultimately didn't make, was in a solar asset, a very large one that would sell to the Marin County community choice aggregator. And as part of that, I kind of did a deep study on how CCAs work, what their vulnerabilities are, what they bring ultimately, and then what I'll kind of adapt that experience for Exeter and help think through, is CCA the right way to go? What are the alternatives? And then how do we make sure that we never end up in a situation where we've put our ratepayers in any sort of, unnecessary danger, that sort of thing. I'm someone who spent my entire life working in clean energy, but I don't like fluffy. I like numbers. I like things that work. So, I'll kind of be the skeptical person that needs to be convinced along the way. In the end of the day, though, I would love to, I'd like to see this work if it's the right thing. So any questions? I can tell you a bit about past work experience, but just solar investor is basically a good way of thinking about it.
Well, Nick, I just want to thank you for your willingness to serve on this committee, because you're going to bring an incredible amount of information and knowledge that we're going to need. So we're fortunate that you live in Exeter, and even more fortunate that you have volunteered to work with us. So thank you.
Of course.
I would just add to that. I like the sound of your approach, Nick, that you're an advocate for renewable energy and clean energy, but also want to see it proven, want to see the numbers, want to protect ratepayers. I think that's definitely kind of the perspective that we want to have on this committee as well, because ultimately we have to get it passed at town meeting. So it has to be something that is presented as a well-grounded, logical, sensible, cost-effective thing to do.
I totally agree with that, what Cliff said, because it can't just, it sounds good. It's gotta be good if it's gonna last, because otherwise, we flip-flop and pendulums go, but if it's really got the merits and the rigor behind it, then I think things stay good policy.
Great.
Okay, anybody else have questions?
No other questions. I just also want to say thanks, Nick, for volunteering your time. That's so great to have you.
Can we say you're hired?
Hey, can I just ask a question about outside of solar? What other renewables have you had any experience with them, or was it mainly?
Sure. So I started my career at in environmental consulting, where I was doing a lot of greenhouse gas inventorying for Fortune 500 companies. Absolutely hated that job. Was much more interested in like putting steel in the ground, so to speak. So then I started an energy efficiency financing company. So I got a fair amount of familiarity with energy efficiency, co-founded Spark Fund, grew it through a Series A, and then left to join a private equity firm in Hanover, New Hampshire called New Energy Capital. For someone from Illinois, I've spent a strange amount of time in New Hampshire. So
I'm from Illinois too, so it's all good.
There you go. And so at New Energy Capital, I looked at solar, wind, both greenfield wind and repowered wind, some battery storage, although the battery storage world that I looked at then is so different than the world is now. Energy efficiency, anaerobic digesters, a lot of that more fringe stuff. Never did any work with hydrogen. That's a very big topic now that I'm happy to talk about. But really the familiarity I got with CCAs, and especially kind of the whole idea of serving like how a utility or a third party or a CCA ultimately serves retail customers, and the split between the world of retail electricity and wholesale electricity. I got familiar when I was working at an Australian bank called Macquarie, and we were actually buying third party retailers, companies that, own a bunch of customers that have decided to not be part of their utility for their energy procurement, but go and do it through another company. So was looking at acquiring competitive energy retailers for a while. And then another colleague of mine was a co-founder of Clean Choice Energy, which is a competitive third-party retailer that has a big presence in Massachusetts, DC, Maryland, most of the deregulated markets, but for some reason isn't active in New Hampshire. And so I was very disappointed to see that when I moved here, I couldn't switch to a third-party supplier that would do 100% clean energy, because it was something that I wanted and was willing to pay more for. But again, not everyone is willing to pay more for electricity.
I think there's an Acadia thing, but it's very limited here.
I know the Acadia guys very well, and I was an Acadia customer when I was in Massachusetts. As of a year ago, they weren't available in New Hampshire. But a colleague of mine is the head of regulatory affairs.
Because I'm paying them for something every month. So
there you go.
It was extraordinarily limited.
Yeah.
The offerings in New Hampshire were very limited. So.
Well, I need to check it out again. Also, a colleague of mine is the head of regulatory affairs at Unitel, and I keep pressuring him to give me just something instead of the plain vanilla option, because I also have an electric car, so I try to charge mine at midnight when I'm guaranteed that there's no fossil or coal generation kind of on the grid, but I don't get any credit for that.
Did not know that. I have a plug-in too, so I didn't know that you could do that. All right. I mean, there's a timer on it, so I'll have to look into that myself. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Nick. I think the next step for you and for anybody who applies is that the standard operation is to go to the town website and go to the boards and commissions and the volunteer tab, and you will download an application, and it just gives you some information, So you have to fill it out to give the select board some information, and the select board will then interview you, and this will be over Zoom these days, and then vote on your approval at their next meeting. So it does kind of take a while to get officially on board, but I think this committee is very happy to 100%, support you in your application, and I will talk to the select board chair about you coming in too. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So I think the rest of this meeting is going to be pretty short here today. So we're going to move on to Cliff and Lou talking about the Energy Aggregation Committee formation and any other comments that they have.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Cliff and I have spoken, and we're thinking that it's probably a good idea for the three of us, Cliff, Nick, and me, to begin to think about meeting. We can start thinking about what kind of goals we want to set. There is a necessity to reach out to Unitil, to talk to them about aggregate data collection. So maybe one of the first things that we should do, the three of us, and I'm happy to do this, Nick and Cliff, if you want to get to me dates and times that would be convenient for a meeting. I'm thinking, at most an hour meeting, and probably something early July. Would that make sense for the three of us to get together and start thinking about what we're going to do? Even though we don't have a complete committee yet, I think it probably makes sense for us to start moving.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, Lou. I'd be happy to send you times that would work for me. This would be an unofficial meeting, I think, right? Because we don't exist yet per se, but be helpful to help, figure out things that we need to get prepared.
Nick, will that work for you? If you can get to me some dates and times that work for you?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. And I reached out to Henry Herndon, and he sent me two community power plans that are, one's actually been accepted. The one from Harrisville it's gone by their select board and has been approved. And the other one is from Lebanon. It's a draft. But I'll send those out to you, Cliff, and Nick, so we have those just to look at. Henry also gave me some thoughts about what we should do, how we should approach Unitil to do data collection. So I'll pass that along to you as well.
I think Peterborough, or no, was it Peterborough or Keene? One of those two, I think, recently adopted a community power plan as well. So they must have some sort of a plan behind that.
Yeah.
I can reach out to them and try to get that one.
Good. And maybe I'll try to get in touch with some of them just to get some thoughts about what has worked well in terms of how to start the process and what kinds of things we need to do right off the bat to get things going. So I'll talk to Lebanon and Harrisville and see what they say.
Can I jump in here?
Sure.
Okay, so I think the way to approach this meeting between you three is that I can set it up for you as kind of a working group of the Energy Committee for this first time, since you haven't been officially formed, or and it's just for you to get the framework together for your committee. So I think in order to keep it all above board, whenever you tell me what your date is, I'll send it in and I'll make an agenda and it will be posted publicly, and so everything will be according to the right to know.
Sounds good.
After that, you guys are on your own. Okay. And so I just want to say, we're not really discussing names of other people that will be coming on the committee, but both Cliff and I have reached out to a woman, and because I'd really like to have a woman on your committee. So to be determined later.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
There is another potential candidate that I'm reaching out to as well. Expressed some initial interest, and I'll let you know what comes of that.
Good.
Excellent. Okay, shall we move on to our next agenda item? Are you guys all set?
Yeah.
All right, moving on. So Dave Sharples is up next, Sustainability Officer.
Thank you, Renee. Just got a few quick things. We've been tracking the House Bill 315, and just to give you, for those who don't know, it's remember it was the original Senate Bill 109 that allowed municipal hosts to net meter up to 5 megawatts, which would essentially allow our solar array to move forward, the 1.77 megawatt solar array that the voters voted to move forward with. And the legislation has to pass. It went to the Senate. The Senate ended up making some amendments. The Senate Bill 109 became part of House Bill 315 because the Senate made an amendment and added the Senate Bill 109 language to House Bill 315. And then Friday, it went back to the House to either concur or non-concur. And the House the committee did non-concur with the Senate amendments and requested a committee of conference. So those committee of conferences are, my understanding, is supposed to take place next week, those meetings, and any committees of conference need to end their work by June 17th. So I don't know what the schedule is for the committee conference on this particular bill. That's not out yet, but I will continue to track it, and we should have something out of the committee conference. The committee conference. It makes me stumble when I say that too many times. When that comes out by June 17th, so I will have an update on that. So hopefully, good news on that front. Couple things.
Can I just jump in right here, because sure. Julie Billman sent a text like a couple minutes ago. She's probably there or something. As amended, the science, blah, blah, blah. Their report is due the 17th, and we will vote on it on the 24th.
That's the full House and Senate. The full House and Senate will meet on June 24th. So yes, that's exactly right. They said they're taking it up on the 17th. Is that what you said?
Yeah, you're muted.
Okay, they have requested a committee of conference. Their report is due on the 17th.
Okay. Yeah.
We will vote on it on the 24th, the full.
Yeah, that's the June 17th is the date they have to supply it. It could be earlier, but then the full House and Senate meets on June 24th. So we'll know. I'll know more at the next meeting and provide an update. So
I'm getting ready to pop my champagne cork on the 24th. I got it.
Good. Lou has his hand up.
Yeah, Dave, is there any point in us doing more letter writing, or no?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think all the writing's on the wall. I think, I don't know. I'll check into that, but I've been speaking with people, and I think all our information, we've made it clear through various emails to the chairmans of the committees and the NHMA and so forth where we stand. So feel free to, but I don't know if there's anything more to add at this point.
Okay. I don't think officially they take any testimony at those.
Oh, okay. Sad.
Thanks, Cliff. Yeah, that good point as well. A couple other things. The Sustainability Advisory Committee is working on a couple things, not necessarily directly to do with energy, but they're, can be indirectly. They're reviewing a single-use plastic policy for municipal property. So I provided them a draft because they wanted one. So I provided them a draft, and it wouldn't have any effect on, non-city town property. It would just be on town property and town events and so forth. So they're moving forward with reviewing that. We'll see where that goes. They also voted at their last meeting to forward information for a sustainability coordinator, as they did a couple years ago with the Warren article. That information, they decided to forward that to the town manager for consideration to possibly create a position for that. for consideration in the 2022 budget.
That's good, since that's what the warrant article was to do.
That's all I have that's my update. Thank you.
Any questions for Dave? I have a quick question, Dave. Sometimes I run events, or we have run events at the town hall, say like the Lit Fest or the Electric Car Day, whatever. And, I have always highly frowned upon people bringing in cases and cases of single-use water. So is this what they're talking about, like people that rent the town hall?
There's two parts to that question. It applies to any vendors, sponsors, use of town property. You can't distribute single-use plastics. The definition of a single-use plastic in the ordinance that I just took the Portsmouth ordinance because I found out Portsmouth adopted one. I took until the Sustainability Advisory Committee decided to move forward. I didn't want to revise it, in the court. I just said, this is a good place to start. My understanding of that is that the plastic bottles are recyclable. So they don't fall under the definition necessarily of single use in the Portsmouth ordinance. This is for single use. What does is like a single use, a plastic, iced coffee cup that it's not recyclable. It's intended for a single use and throw it away. Plastic straws and so forth. So there is some debate. I did talk about that to the Sustainability Advisory Committee. So we could very well, decide what we wanted. And I think they wanted water bottles to be included in that single use. But there is a school of thought out there that they're not single use.
Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you for that update. All right, you're all set, so we'll move on to the next agenda item. We are going to skip over the solar tax exemption update. Julie could not be here. She had a conflict of a meeting, so we're going to schedule somebody from the town office, I think a financial person, for a financial employee to talk about that. So that will be a larger topic at our next meeting. Both Amy and Julie will work on that. And again, Julie's not here, so we're going to move to Betsy on her rebates project. Betsy is new to our committee, and she's a teacher, and she's just finally done with school, so now she's ready to get on it here.
Cliff has his hand up, Renee.
Oh. Mute.
Just a quick piece of information about the solar exemption, the tax exemption, is that I just took a look at my most recent tax bill, which came a few days ago. And for the first time, it now shows solar rebate of $10,000. So that's taken off the total valuation of the property. But then the property itself is now $10,000 in higher value. So I don't know if that's coincidence. It may be. I'm not sure, but that's something we can find out. But you should take a look. I think there are a couple of other people, right, that have solar panels. Take a look at your most recent tax bill. If you filed the exemption, it should be showing up.
I have to jump all, but it was very nice to meet you all.
Hi, Nick.
Thank you again.
Okay, so I, as Renee said, have just finished teaching school and am ready to start my little project. What I'm interested in doing is taking information from like Renee's button-ups or any information I can find on rebates and have a connection from the Energy Town website to one place where you can get all kinds of information on rebates. And then the other idea I thought, and I wanted to check this out and make sure this is okay, would be on the Facebook Exeter Community website where people, I don't know if people are familiar with the Exeter Community Facebook site, but advertise on that as well. Various rebates people would be able to get, or have a link there to some sort of web page. Haven't worked it all out yet, but that's my idea. I don't know if anybody had any thoughts or that could help with this, but it's basically researching for rebate information out there and putting it all in one place that people can easily access.
Yes, I'm happy to help you with that.
Okay.
I look at that stuff a lot, and there is, although in Exeter everyone's on Unitil, there's probably other people that might access this information. So we could probably put, Eversource on here and the co-op information on here, so other utilities. But there's a lot out there in terms of there's just huge databases about what unit you have and what it might be eligible for. So I don't know how detailed you want to get, but we could give links to that information and then sort of sum up the other stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let me know. We can chat offline about that.
Okay.
Okay, and I'd like to ask Bob Glowacki to pipe in here, because when a town committee posts on social media as a town committee, there are certain restrictions or just nuances about that. I mean, I don't know if we can't put it out as a town committee, if we can do it in another way, or what are your thoughts?
I think if you wanted to just, because like I said, I have access to your Facebook page to post stuff for you. So if you have stuff you want to post, send it my way, and then I can post it officially to your Facebook, and then share it into that community forum stuff, links in wherever you want. But if you want to post on that Facebook page that's official, just send it my way. I'll get it posted. And I like the idea about having some page on your website. I'd be happy to set that up. An email and drafted out some text. I can just have a link.
Okay, great.
I don't see how, as long as it's, we're not advertising a business or something on there. It's just stuff free, available to people. We can definitely link to that.
All right, good. I think that will be a nice service, educational service for this town citizens to help them save money and be more efficient. So that's a great project, Betsy. Thank you. And thank you, Amy, for helping, and Bob too. Okay, anything else, Betsy?
Nope.
All right, well, thank you. And so we're moving on to Camille.
So I have a couple things to talk about. I recently published my third article, and I went to the New Hampshire Saves button up, and I wrote an article about what I learned at that webinar, and that's on the website I shared last time. And then Renee emailed me about a possible project to try to get my school to purchase an electric school bus, and I'm really excited to work on that. Right now, I'm working on a project to try to get solar for this house that's going to be turned into special education, and I'm not exactly sure when that's going to wrap up or get to a point where I can work on something else. But I'm planning to present to probably the school board in July, and then see where that goes from there. So sometime next year, I'll probably work on that project.
Excellent. And I have heard that you, as the only ninth grader, received a civic award from your school. Would you like to tell us about the award that you won?
I won an award for history for my school for this academic awards ceremony, and I was the only ninth grader.
All right. Yeah. Good job.
Good job. Congratulations.
Yeah, she's award winning at a young age, so just wait till she gets to be a senior. She's going to take the whole show. Okay, anything else, Camille?
No, I think that's it.
All right, any questions for Camille? All right. So Camille was on the button up. It's an hour and a half thing, and she was on there getting all the information. Thank you for spreading that around town so other people can realize how to make their homes more efficient.
I actually have one other thing I forgot. My club next year, we're probably going to have a more formal website. So we're working on that right now.
Okay. Better website. Yeah, right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And as far as the electric buses go, that's like a diesel reduction project. It's that will be kind of federally grant money. So I think there's going to be a lot of money for electric school buses, and there'll be a big push going forward and then over the next several years. So if we have Camille on it with the school board, hopefully, we can get some traction on that in the next couple of years. Oh, yay. All right. Thank you. And there's just two other things on the agenda here, and they're both recaps. The button up, we had the button up, and there were 6 people on that, which was actually a decent showing for an online button up. And the link to the old one is on our website page, on the Energy Committee page on the town website. Charge point, which would be level 2 or level 3 chargers in town. That hasn't moved anywhere because of COVID, but I have been in contact with all the right people, and they say when it moves, I will be the first to know. And when it does move, I'm working with Darren Winham on that. He's very excited about it. And of course, Dave will be in on it too. And the final thing is, and this comes under the category of other, which didn't quite make it on, but there is a new business in town, and I walked past it on Holland Way. It's called Palmer and Sicard. They build this huge factory kind of thing on Holland Way behind the Ford dealership. And what they are is mechanical engineers. And I am going to call up and ask if they would have the Energy Committee come over and kind of show us their building and tell us what they do and meet some of those folks over there. I think it would be nice to have a relationship with the people in that building. So I will do that. And if anybody's interested in a field trip, let me know. And when I do contact them, I'll have you work in the dates with me. And if more than 3 of us go as a quorum or something, I guess I'll make it a working visit, or, make it official. All right. So if you are interested, send me an email, and we'll be on that field trip figuring it out. One thing about them is it's this huge hangar-like building that seems to face south-ish. Humongous solar roof, Amy. Have you seen it?
I'm already on it. I'm
like, why doesn't it have solar on it? Because
I know.
No trees near it. All right, so take a little visit.
Robin's got her hand up.
I do. I think Cliff had his hand up before me.
Where? Oh, they're over there, the blue hand thing. Okay, I'm like.
No, I think I never lowered my hand from the last time. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just had to, by the way, before we're done.
Go ahead.
So I know I'm part of this Atlantic Council's Veterans Energy Project, and I think we've nailed down a date for an event that would be open to any veterans in the community. Probably looks like about 90% sure, but I'll give you details for sure. 22 July, and sort of a networking happy hour type of thing with presentations. Hopefully it'll be solar, geothermal, and hydrokinetic, and then a VP from an energy grid talking about how it all gets pulled together. So I will send you more information when it's, something I am 100% confident you can publish, but I didn't want to wait a month to mention it because that's something we could open up to veterans in the community.
Wonderful, thank you. And from a conversation that we had earlier, Robin, could you describe, especially to Dave, because Dave had mentioned something about this in his Sustainable Officers Regional gathering about the river turbines? Could you just give kind of a little?
Yes, so that's, and there's a rep from those that I'm hoping will be able to make it. But aside from that, there was another project proposal that I did looking at hydrokinetic power, which is basically from currents or tides. So, and there's two main companies in the U.S. that are really working on these. There's a company called Verdant Energy, and they build ones that look more like traditional turbines. They're just kind of short and fat, and they've actually got a project with some in the East River off in New York City right now. The other company is more local. They're up in Maine. They're ORPC. And Dave, their website's orpc.co. So it's really easy. And they are working more, I would say their turbines, they're both for tidal and for rivers. they look more, if you think of the old Rio lawnmowers with no power that, just to go around, that's how theirs are. It's more of a horizontal thing that could fit in a rectangular box, it's sort of cylindrical shape in a rectangular box. And they've been tested like up in Alaska, in rivers for like native communities under the ice over the winter. And in the one village they did that, they offset something like 30% of the diesel generator use in winter. So there's some promise there for those in remote regions that are by a water source with a current or tide. So instead of maybe running pipelines everywhere or huge transmission lines everywhere, you could set up the hydro as a base load on even a microgrid, and then supplement that with, you could supplement it with anything. You could supplement it with diesel, but if you can do it with solar or geothermal or wind, then you can more easily get to all renewable type of solution for some of the communities where it's hardest to get them, moving on energy.
Yeah, I thought of mentioning this to you, Dave, because you had mentioned it before. And, futuristic, many years from now, if, for example, at the wastewater treatment plant where the energy use is high, say they have these little turbines in the river and they just flow with the tide and they do some kind of baseline energy for the wastewater treatment plant, that would be a nice little package.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not like off the shelf like you can buy them right now, but I mean it's tested and it's good stuff coming online. So.
But they're put in water bodies. Is that what you said? Like rivers?
Yes, they are put in water bodies, and they have been. They're not. It's water, so you're not spinning so fast. So they've been shown. They don't chop up fish or impede passage or anything like that, and they can use them with or without dams. And then, with tides, you could catch the incoming and the outgoing tide. So there's a lot of ways you can strategically place them. Some of them are a size that you can have a modular setup where they can be a string of them horizontally or vertically, just whatever fits the particular river you're in. Mm-hmm. And they sort of have them on pontoons, and they sink the pontoons and that anchors them down, and then you can raise them up. But they're all designed to be, so they break them down and load them on a flatbed truck and reassemble on site with local people. You don't have to have special stuff, local people, traditional, typical local equipment to install. So it's kind of cool.
That sounds a little bit easier to install than what I heard of. It was what I was talking about was inline hydro, which actually little mini turbines that they put in the pipes of the water system, because it already has a natural pressure and flow. Mm-hmm. So it's not in a river or water body. It's actually in the 12-inch main of the water line, and the water just continually flows through it as people use the water in town, and it collects the energy from that. So that's what I was talking about from Brattleboro, Vermont, that they're looking into it. So that's kind of a good. I'm glad this technology, any of that technology, similar technology, the more people looking at it and the more R&D, the easier it can come to, bring costs down and actually get implemented at our scale, at the municipal scale. So that's good to hear. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else before we wind up? Cliff?
Just to let Robin know, about 5 years ago, maybe a little more, and I can't remember whether it was the DOT who sponsored the study or it was a legislative committee, but there was a feasibility study that was conducted for the Piscataqua River to look at tidal power associated with the Little Bay Bridge construction. Oh. And they did a fairly detailed evaluation of it. Verdant was one of the companies that they looked at that technology along with a few others. And I don't remember the details well enough. They concluded that the technology was not mature for that particular site. Mm-hmm. For the concept of attaching it to the bridge footings, but it's worth looking at what they concluded.
Because I think it's come a long way in the last 5 years. They got I think both companies got some nice DOE grants in the last 5 years and have been able to do a lot more.
All righty then. I guess it's a short meeting here, so thank you, everybody. If you want to go on the field trip, send me an email, and we'll be popping those corks on the 24th. I know it. Okay?
I sure hope so.
Yeah. All right, so motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, and Meg is second? Okay, I'm just going to do the quick roll call. Amy?
Aye.
Betsy?
Aye.
Cliff?
Aye.
Lou?
Aye.
Robin?
Aye.
Chair says aye. See you later.